So here we are. Build number 2 is going to be starting here momentarily. What we have is a 2012 X5 diesel, and this right here is going to be our new tow rig. So I bought this car actually a couple months ago, in the middle of the Corvette project, or right before it started. This popped up, and this was pretty much everything I was looking for in a replacement car. So currently I have a 328D wagon. That is a good car, but there's just a little bit more I want to do. Obviously with the two E30s here, we also have a couple 2002s, my brother and I. We wanted something we could tow with, and I figured what would be cooler than having another BMW to tow BMWs with. When I first found out about the X5 diesels, I was like, this is it. This is what I want. I wanted a sparkling bronze metallic one. This one is a little beat up. The paint is not great. It looks better on camera than it is actually, but this one checked off a lot of the things that I want. So this one is a 2012. This is gonna be some auction stuff that'll probably blur out. But it does have HUD, comfort seats. It doesn't have black headliner, which is a little upsetting. It's got soft closed doors. And just a lot of other cool little nifty features I was really interested in. Black interior, and overall it's a pretty clean car on the outside. But we'll get to it in a little bit. When the car showed up though, it didn't mention anything about not stopping. It does run and drive, but it does not stop. There was some noise coming from the front. So upon a quick inspection, I actually haven't gotten to tear into this too much, but as we can see, this brake rotor is not in the greatest shape, and if we give it a little pinch, it feels like the rotor might be broken in half. So we already got some new brakes in, ready to go on. But we're gonna be taking a look at it and kind of digging into it. I haven't really, like I said, done much to it yet. It's super dirty in here. We're gonna get a good vacuum, clean this up, and then I think there may be a pothole relatively soon in the future for this one. Let's dive into this thing. The rotor on this guy has definitely perished. But this explains why I couldn't stop.
So this is actually the first car I ever bought from auction. I wanted to start with something small, a title one that didn't have any major damage to the body or anything like that. Even though this one kind of looks like it may have been in a flood. Initially, I was pretty worried that this set screw wasn't going to come out very easily, and I didn't even say it wasn't going to be a 30-minute brake job, and here we are with the right piece. I was hoping that putting a notch in it, traveling screwdriver would be able to get it loose, but the set screw really cut up its lands. And after getting that notch in it and pounding away on it, we finally got enough to pound a larger bit in there. And obviously that didn't work.
Approximately 10 hours later.
All right, we've ripped like 5 welds on it. I found a nut to put on the back side of it. This thing's still hot. Hey. Success. Sweet. Well, now we need a new nut.
And this really brought something to my attention. Being in Colorado, we don't get a lot of cars that get this rusty, so all of you Rust Belt mechanics and people who deal with this on the regular, I feel for you on a whole new level. Obviously, tons and tons of pounding with a hammer here to try and get this off, scraping away some of the corrosion of the hub. And we ended up breaking the rotor more before it actually came loose. And to my surprise, all of the components around this still looked fine. The wheel bearing still spun freely, no grinding, no anything like that. So we lucked out there. Just need a new dust shield and obviously some new brakes.
So I don't know how well you're gonna be able to hear me, but it's raining pretty bad. I discovered a few more leaks in the roof. So that's something that's gonna be addressed once I get this thing on the road again. We lucked out. This rotor came off easy. Set screw and everything came off. One tap, this one popped off, so nothing like the other side. Wheels, unfortunately, a different story on the back. These are really on there, so I'm gonna let these soak overnight. And hopefully tomorrow we'll be able to get these off. All right, it's a few days later. Rain has finally stopped. We were waiting for some more parts to come in just so we could try and finish this up. We just got our new caliper set screws, or rotor set screws, in stainless steel ones to hopefully avoid the nightmare we had on the other ones. Front brake is on, shiny. Because I didn't have the set screws, I just used the lug bolts to get them in. New caliper retention bracket. Caliper's obviously not looking too hot. Same thing with the dust shield, but we're gonna live just because we want to see how she does, and I'm not too concerned with it as long as everything works. Driver's side, almost done. We're going ahead and reusing the original dust shield. It broke in a couple places, and one of the set screws broke, but I don't think, well, I may need to bend it a little bit so it doesn't touch, but this will work for now, just to give it a test. Need to finish up getting pads in on this side, onto the rear. This wheel is completely seized on here. I've tried just about everything to get this one off, from sitting on the ground kicking it as hard as I can to getting pry bars and anything I can wedge in there to get it off. And it is stuck, so we'll address this one later, but we are gonna hold on doing the rear brakes even though they are definitely just as crusty and falling apart like the front. Driver's side rear. Bolts were stuck in, got those out. Still is pretty stuck on there, and we have some sort of mess with some spiders, which I'm not too keen on, but I think we'll be fine for now until we get this off. What we're gonna end up doing to take off everything on the rear is, since I couldn't get it off with a sledgehammer or any sort of pounding or anything like that, we're gonna end up just loosening the lugs on this side and then going back and forth a few times, and hopefully that'll break the corrosion off of it. We can get that off and we can get those done. But until then, we need to address this as well once we get the pads on. Hadn't looked under here yet, so we're gonna do a quick little first pull. We had to take this off so I could open the reservoir for the brake fluid. So that's all off. but the under the beauty cover was not looking too great. Looks like we had someone living in here, and on top of that, all of the sound deadening looks to have disintegrated. So we're gonna pull this off, get the vacuum, clean up this, and see how she does. There is a lot of dust everywhere, but hopefully this won't be too bad. So let's get to it. And one more thing I wanted to talk about before we get started. So I was wondering how these rotors got so bad, and it looks like they've been on here for a while. Obviously, do a lot of cutting and a lot of pounding to get this off, and rotors typically aren't, you know, ribbed. But here are the pads that came off of this, and it was like this on the other side too. Looks pretty good. Here's a new pad for comparison. Put those side by side like this. As you can see, it looks like these pads were like relatively new. So the previous owner of this seems to have just pad slapped this guy for its entire life, and then decided, hey, off to auction it goes when it starts throwing a few codes, and doesn't stop anymore. So now, let's get to it. All right, to be honest, not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. This sound deadening looks to be not in great shape on top. Underneath it looks fine, minus some surface rust on the injectors. Everything looks okay. This car did come from Ohio, and I don't know how long it sat before I decided to purchase it, but overall, I don't think it's looking too bad. There is this, which I can see if I can show you real quick. I don't know why they did this, but the horn doesn't work on the steering wheel, so they put in that button and drilled into that piece right there. Don't know why, but we'll get it sorted once we tackle the interior, once we can actually drive it around the block and not have to worry about being able to stop. With all that stuff off, I'm not super concerned about how everything looks under here. Vacuum line, this one doesn't look great, but I plan to redo those anyways, and then kind of go from there. It does start and drive pretty well. Well, run pretty well. It has a little hiccup at idle. I think what we're gonna do is we're going to get the wheels back on, the 3 that came off, clean up the center bores in those, and then go take a trip around the block. But before we do that, there we go. All right, so we just got the key in. Let's make sure she still starts. Nice. Like I said, she's got a little bit of a rough idle, just at startup. Got a low tire pressure. Let's see what else we got. Okay. But she's idling pretty well. She's just about to be at 182. I have brake pedal feel this time, which is nice. Parking brake off. Let's, oh. Let's see if we can get that back wheel broken off. All right, so as you can tell, we are not winning with this guy. This tire is still super stuck on here. So I'm gonna go ahead and soak it some more, and hopefully the next time I get out here when it's not raining, we'll get it off. But if you guys have any suggestions, leave them down below. I've tried heat, I've tried soaking it, I've tried driving on it now, and I may get some more air in it and go for a longer drive. But I've even wedged like that long 2x4 I had behind it and just pried and still can't get anything off. Smacked with a sledgehammer. So hopefully maybe a little bit more forward and backwards, or maybe actually taking it around the block will help break it loose. It looks like I've got a little bit more space than I had, but like initially, but it's still super stuck. So I think that's gonna be it for this one. And then hopefully the next time we'll have the rear brakes all finished up. We'll get to go through in a nice interior detail, and then start taking a look and seeing what codes we have and how easy they're going to be to resolve. But I appreciate you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. There's one more thing we need to check before we end the video, is what CDs did we get